Hello my fellow rats and welcome to a new video about Overwatch, and this time we're gonna be talking about perks. So if you guys weren't watching Spotlight, we are getting two separate perks for every character, which includes Junkrat. These perks seem to include very interesting upgrades to improve and entice the gameplay loop of different heroes. So today we're gonna be diving deep at Junkrat's new perks. So at first glance, the way I will describe Junkrat's perks will be as interesting. Let's first take a look at the perks, which are the following. The minor perks are two. Aluminium Frame, a steel trap throw range, it's increased by 50%. And then we have Nitro Boost. During Riptire, using Shift to gain a quick boost of speed. Doing so also reduces Riptire damage by 50%. Then we have the major perks. Frag Cannon. Frag Launcher's projectile speed is increased by 40%, but its max ammo is reduced by 1. TikTok. Concussive Mine arms 0.5 seconds after landing, increasing damage by 50%, explosion radius by 50%, and health by 200%. Now, after reading those perks, I am very conflicted. Let's go by the issues one by one. Aluminium Frame is a very small quality of life change that I have personally been asking for Junkrat for a long time now. I was very adamant that needed to happen to Junkrat at some point, since one of the main problems I found with Trap was the lack of positioning freedom that you had with the Trap. You had to be placed really close to you, and you really didn't have a lot of way to play with where you place the Trap. So it was a quality of life change that I've been suggesting for some time, but this is not a really relevant change enough to work as a perk, even as a minor perk, compared to other minor perks. Because as a perk, this is just really underwhelming and you're barely ever gonna be using this. Sadly, Nitro Boost isn't much better, since while Aluminium Frame is really underwhelming, this perk sounds straight up useless. You gain a speed boost on tire when clicking Shift, but you also lose 50% of the retard damage when you do so, which means that the killing range of tire, which is how close you need to get to an enemy to kill them with tire, also gets reduced. Which, depending on that value of the speed which you get when clicking Shift, could mean that you're eventually actively harming Riptire by having to cover more ground than the speed you're getting to get the same effectiveness. You will still have to see this in practice, but this perk just sounds straight up bad, sadly. Boy, I may have been very wrong about the Riptire thing. I just saw footage of it on Spilos stream, and that thing is fast. Like real fast. It looks like freaking jet engine, literally. And sounds like it too. We'll have to see how that turns out and test that. But it looks insane. Now, onto major perks. Frag Cannon is another change that I've been asking for Junkrat for a long time. And people who have been on the Junkrat community for a while have seen, at least this year, there's been some discussion about Junkrat's projectile speed. And one thing that I had been asking for, while other members of the Junkrat community, was to increase his projectile speed, because an increase of that projectile speed allows him to be more accurate and more skillful, and makes you feel less spammy. Because what benefits his spam is how slow the projectile is, because of how long of a lifetime he has, because of the slow speed. While the faster speed allows him to play at short to mid-short ranges more effectively, to be a better duelist, and in general, the more skillful playstyle of Rat gets enabled by that. But now, as a perk, this thing actively harms you. Because if you choose this perk in the middle of a match, you're going to be playing half a match with a projectile speed on your primary, and the other half of the match with a completely different projectile speed on your primary, which will completely harm, if not destroy, your muscle memory, because you're not going to be switching between the two speeds in the same game. Meaning that you're just losing your lineups, and getting some of the harder shots down with Junkrat is gonna actively be harder to set up, if not impossible, if you keep switching between the two projectile speeds. TikTok, in my opinion, is the best perk of the bunch. Well, at least the most interesting is the better way to say it. It brings a new use to Concussion Mine, and in general it's cool. It adds nuance to Concussion Mine, since now you're actually gonna be using more the deployable side of it instead of for just setups. Now, that being said, after dropping my thoughts on the perks, I'm also going to suggest some changes that I will do to improve them. First of all, both Aluminum Frame and Frag Cannon changes should be applied to Junkrat's base kit. They're both healthy quality of life changes that, when applied to Junkrat's kit, will change him for the better. Also, a small pointer, while the trap throw speed increase is good on 50%, the Frag Cannon 40% projectile speed change should be applied both to Frag Launcher and Concussion Mine, since it's an important thing for the flow of Junkrat's kit that both things have the same projectile speed. These 3 projectile speed increases, when applied to Junkrat's base kit, will throw him into a healthy direction, which is what we want for the character. Now, since we're adding those to Junkrat's base kit, what happens with those perks? What will you replace them with? That's the second part of feedback, and I would like to throw some ideas in here. Some ideas for Aluminum Frame will be the following. 1. Steel Trap's arming speed is reduced by 50%. 2. A Steel Trap cannot be blown up by pressing the button again for an explosion that reloads enemies for 2 seconds. Some ideas for Frag Cannon will be the following. 1. You can hold Frag Launcher for 1 second to charge a grenade that does 20% more damage and ignites enemies for 30% of the direct damage dealt for 2 seconds. 2. Frags from Frag Launcher now detonate instantly on contact with the ground, causing a small AoE explosion. Now, what I will do with Nitro Boost is directly removing the damage reduction for tire on use. We'll make the speed boost more interesting to those turtle elements or get closer to a lethal enemy, and if it ends up being too strong, you maybe could do something like trading health or duration of the tire for using that shift, or maybe just reducing the speed boost altogether. And for TikTok, I think it's fine. Maybe the only thing I could suggest is that applying the modifier that it gets on Airborne Mine at the 0.5 seconds fight could be good too. That's it for Junkrat's perks and the feedback on them. That said, I can't wait for Season 15. This is just so hype, and perks is just one of the very lot of things that you could be talking about right now. Have a nice day, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!